Paying child support for a kid who's not even yours is like buying a ticket to a concert for a band you don't even like, and you don't want to have that experience, right? Well, Mr. Portis was quiet in a similar situation. He has been paying child support for Ms. Middlebrook's daughter, whom he believes is not his.
This started about 2 years ago. I started paying child support, $75 for this baby, and I never knew if she was mine or not. We never took a DNA test. We tried to, but it didn't go through.
Don't you have to get a DNA before you can be put on child support?
We went together.
You didn't show up to court twice.
It was once.
So hold on. You paying child support for this baby?
Yes. Thousands of dollars.
But you say you've never had a DNA test?
No.
According to Ms. Middlebrooks, she became pregnant a few months into her relationship with Mr. Portis. However, Mr. Portis denies paternity and claims that they stopped communicating shortly after she became pregnant. But wait right there, as our plaintiff did mention another dude in the picture.
Ms. Middlebrooks, what was your relationship with this other guy?
We were dating.
When?
Before Brian Portis.
So you dated him before you dated Mr. Portis?
Yes.
But when you met
and then he went away and we broke up.
He went away, you all broke up, then you started dating Mr. Portis?
Yes.
How soon after you and Mr. Portis started dating did you find out you were pregnant?
A month or two later.
A month?
A month or two.
Your Honor. Did you just hear what she said? How old are you people? Judging by the looks, they ain't old enough to decide that. However, Mr. Portis mentioned a letter sent to his ex-boyfriend by Ms. Middlebrooks claims that he's not the father. One wonders why the rush, you ask? Well, now her aunt is coming to her rescue.
I took her to the hospital. She found out she was like a month pregnant. The other guy that they talking about, a letter did go out to him and she told him that she was pregnant and he's not the father. We didn't know anything about this guy here. We only knew about the other guy at the time.
But wait, Miss Middlebrooks, you knew about this guy, Mr. Portis, right?
Yeah.
So why was your first instinct to send a letter to the guy that was away?
Okay, Auntie. A friendly reminder, just a little tint of your testimony will not help Ms. Middlebrooks win fans. Y'all better have to do more than that. For instance, when Judge Lake asked Mr. Portis about the pregnancy, it looks like this session took a turn towards the South.
I didn't really believe her at first, honestly.
Why do you think she'd lie?
I don't know.
Unfold your arms.
I don't know, Your Honor. I don't know why she would lie. I didn't believe it at the time.
Now take them out your pocket. So you didn't believe it?
No.
When did it become real?
Well, I pulled up to her house one day and I saw that she had a little bump, so I knew it was real.
Oh, so wait.
You don't show at a month or two like that soon.
No, but what I want to understand is...
Turn your volumes down, ladies and gentlemen. This ain't your backyard. Well, these allegations are going to take us anywhere other than despair. But hold on to your mobile screens, paternity peeps, as our Mr. Portis here explains the climax of his doubt. Oh, man.
Why didn't you go to any doctor's appointments? Why weren't you there at the birth? Why?
Her ex that she was dealing with had contacted me on Facebook.
Okay. And what did he say? Now I'm starting to understand what's happening here. What happened?
He was basically saying like, yo, Bryant, Jasmine, does she have you on child support and stuff like that? And I'm like, yeah, she does. She's been having me on child support. He was like, well, that's crazy because I'm taking care of her too.
Well, this drama just keeps on getting better and better. When the aunt was asked, when Ms. Middlebrook found out she was pregnant, she was labeled as being the father. She said something that made us all jump to the conclusion. What an emotional wreck.
Found out she was pregnant.
Yes.
Who did she tell you the father was?
At the time, the only person I knew was the ex.
No, I didn't ask that. That's not what I asked. Who did she say the father was?
She said the ex.
Okay. I already knew that.
Son.
I said the ex.
But I thought it was my son all
No,
along.
hold on.
Now you really
Hold on.
like that?
I could tell by the way you were telling that story that you were trying to be evasive about something.
But
oh wow, there's no way they can come back from this one. And with all that testimony recorded, Judge Lake finally gets to play scientist and read out the DNA results, amidst all the chaos, of course. It was the only way to bring closure to this lovely little dispute between the lovebirds.
Mr. Portis, you are the father. You are Ava's father.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That is your beautiful little girl.
Appreciate it.
What do you feel, Miss Middlebrooks? Can you tell me?
The paranoia in this one was real. Mr. Burns believed a woman was trapping him into paying child support for a baby he believed was not his. What? However, he might be delusional, but his concerns. Was she already pregnant when they were on the first date? Let's find out.
I haven't done much because I don't believe that Mime is my son. You know, I don't believe it, first of all, but I'm still trying to do things like, you know, I invite them over to come and, you know, chill, watch movies, or, you know.
You don't invite me over. I tell you.
And why are you inviting him over if he's not your child to chill and watch movies?
I mean, she often, you know.
4-month-old baby don't want to watch a movie. 4-month-old baby.
It's not because it's not so much of him.
Now, isn't that a new one? Yeah, right. You don't want to sign that birth certificate, but you do want to invite him over for some Netflix chill. Feels like you want to make the baby a free pass to be with the baby mama? Come on, just listen to Ms. Jarkin's brother. He might explain it to you better.
No, you haven't been there for my sister at all. I've been working 24/7 doing your job.
You know, it don't matter.
You're doing it. You know that's your son.
It don't matter.
You just lying because you don't want to step up and be a man.
It don't matter about the money. That's my family over here that I take care of.
Mr. Diaz,
you know what I'm saying?
please
I take care of them by myself.
Yeah, I sure will.
Step to the podium. What is your testimony, sir? What are you saying?
I'm saying that I've been with my sister 24/7. I was there since she met him. And ever since they got together and I found out.
Now, isn't that one hell of a protective brother she got there? According to our plaintiff, Mr. Burns was nothing but a deadbeat. Oh boy, Mr. Burns, here's a piece of advice. You better stop being one before her brother makes you dead meat. Ahem, ahem. Anyways, let's just focus back on the session.
And first of all, you ain't got nothing to do because
taking care of yours.
You
taking care of yours.
From the sideline and what she's telling you. She ain't telling you.
From
what he's seen.
That's what I've seen. I'm not gonna say I wouldn't be here if I wasn't there, man.
Mr. Diaz, what have you done for Myvan thus far?
I've taken her to the hospital. I will help her pay the rent. I will help her pay the bills. I will get food for the house.
You just heard that right. The plaintiff claimed he acknowledged the baby at first and denied it later. What is happening? No one has explained their real concerns. Expect a round of allegations. So how about we just listen to the doubts? All right, here's the juicy part we all have been waiting for.
So how soon after you met were you intimate?
We did sleep the first day because we were talking prior to that.
So the first day you got together, you had sex?
Yes.
Was it protected sex?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So how is it you can know for certain this isn't your child?
I have a timeline that I would like to show you of why.
This is your exhibit?
Yes.
Please step over.
Okay, you know what's the first thought of a man after an incident like that? It was quick. But hey, wait. The exhibition wasn't over yet. Another important detail is yet to be discussed. Just see for yourself how Mr. Burns develops his theory.
But I mean, if you have sex on July 6th, by July 27th, if the egg has been fertilized, then she could know.
September came and she went to the doctor on the 14th. You know, the doctor tell her that she's 12 weeks and 6 days, right? 12 weeks and 6 days. I go back 12 weeks and 6 days. I come to find out that I only been knowing her 10 weeks.
Whoa! Our defendant here also explains the doubts about the baby mama being promiscuous and dating a man before him. But as usual, these allegations are bluntly denied. However, there was just one person who's been missing from the picture, and guess who's that? Yes, Mr. Burns witnesses. Let's see what she has to say.
Apparently, she has doubts as well because when we talked about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we met in person, and she said, if it is his, I just want to take full custody. I want to put him on child support. I don't want him to have anything to do with the baby.
She said if
She said if, and then when you say if, that means you are unsure, correct?
We was both pregnant at the same time, pretty much. So that pretty much confirms how he was sleeping with both of us at the same time.
Well now, paternity peeps, even I'm paranoid that I am not sure if the baby is going to be Mr. Burns or not, but my heart says Team Burns. So how about we just fast forward to the DNA test results and be a peacemaker to Ms. Jarquin?
Mr. Burns, you are the father.
I know now, you know, and I'm gonna treat him and I'm gonna love him. You know, I'm gonna be there for him as long as she let me.
The blessing in all of this is that you just got down to the bottom of it early.
Well, if sisters love isn't the best thing in the world, sharing those nail polish, clothes, and even sometimes your boyfriends. What did I say? My bad. Well, what happened to these two sisters in today's paternity court? One believes the man across her podium is her father, and the other says, hold on sis, don't go singing daddy just yet.
Mr. Harden actually came to our house in Minnesota and with his two sisters, in which we all just spent the day together, and the last I recall, I was 11 years old, and my sister Kiera was 10.
11?
Mm-hmm.
And you're 26 now?
Correct.
15 years ago is the last time you saw him?
Correct. He would always say he was gonna come see us, and he never did.
Oh, that's just heart-shattering. The alleged daddy has been MIA for so many years. Talk about some responsibility, but hold on before you judge the man. He has been paying his child support. Let's just figure out what actually went down in their lives.
I asked for a paternity test from day one, and Your Honor, I've always doubted because I used to catch Ms. Gannell with several different men during the course of our relationship. I would actually come in and see men running out the door. I actually caught Ms. Gannell after I had to go out of town for a funeral My first daughter was 6 weeks old.
What is this testimony, and where were we? Mr. Hardin, was it the paternity ward or your home? Like you saying woman handing over the baby and running out? Okay, fine. The mama was a wild goose, but what led you to doubt the paternity of your elder daughter?
When you found out she was pregnant, did you think the baby was yours?
There was a possibility, Your Honor, but
you only felt there was a possibility?
Yes, because she had slept with 2 of my friends prior to that. I found that
during the time Shanice was conceived?
Shanice had already been born 6 weeks. So between that time, I waited. You know, I didn't want to, you know, deal with the situation, so I got away from her. And then about a month later, we got back together.
Okay. The main concern was the mother sleeping with 2 of your friends. Talk about some quality benefits from friends. Oh, man, who needs enemies when you have friends? However, this claim had to be refuted. So here's Ms. Ginald stating her version of truth.
I was dealing with somebody prior to us getting together. And like I said, prior to us getting together, he was also in a relationship. And when I first got pregnant, he was excited about it. He also, like I said, had another woman pregnant. She was pregnant a month before me.
But more importantly, were you sleeping with anyone else during the time?
With that being said, the oldest child's birth certificate had no daddy listed. But if the daddy wasn't listed, why did Mr. Hardin ended up paying child support for the 2 girls, which amounted to $90,000? Feels like the mother had her sneaky ways, man. Dude, pay child support. But hold on, let's take the girl's opinion on this.
Tess, I petitioned the court.
25 and 26 years old. You had all this time to do it. You should have did this way back when. There's no doubt you should have did this.
I did it immediately.
Why didn't you come? Why are you letting us call you dad when you doubted this whole time?
No, you don't understand.
No, I don't understand, so explain it.
I'd like to understand. I'm trying to explain it right now.
The desperation in the courtroom was the real deal. Further testimony also revealed that. And the daughters were also willing to pay for the paternity test, but Mr. Hardnick looked like he drank from the fountain of youth and denied he was ever asked.
We went our whole life. He's been calling us our dad. He's been saying he loved us, he missed us, he wants to see us. He's never in our whole life denied us until now.
Your Honor, I'm right over here and I'm right over here. I'm right in the middle. I don't know. I've never actually denied them.
Yes, you have.
I haven't. I have never denied them. I'm right in the middle because I don't know.
On several occasions, the father was told that the babies didn't belong to Mr. Hardnick, along with the money allegations the alleged daughters have been told. So how about we just go to the results and see if the mother was faithful to the man or not? It was time to end the 2-decade doubts in just 5 seconds.
Mr. Hardin, you are her father.
I told you. All these years that you and I have been told you. All these years I told you that was your kid.
Mr. Hardin, you are her father.
I told you.
Okay! So how would you feel if the man you have been calling dad for years didn't acknowledge you to be his child? As a matter of fact, he had done an amazing job keeping the paternity question alive. Well, we are about to find this out from Ms. Smith, who faces a similar situation.
He didn't sign my birth certificate. When he wants something, I'm his daughter. When he don't get what he wants, I'm not his daughter. He just been a big absence in my life.
And I read in the court papers that it hurts you that no one's on your birth certificate. That really bothers you.
Yes.
Tell the court.
It hurt me so bad because I don't want to have a family of my own.
Oh, now that's gotta hurt. However, the alleged daddy told Judge Lake about his hit it and quit it relationship with the mother, and both of them were living a fast life at that time. Dear Mr. Lewis, let me remind you, you just said the climax for the baby-making recipe. Mr. Lewis admitted to caring for Ms. Smith on and off since she was 3 or 4 days old, up until she was around 10 or 11. Now isn't that ton of responsibility? It means the alleged daddy had more tale to deliver on why she suddenly switched. You wouldn't believe what he did next.
Let me see Mr. Lewis's evidence, please.
And Your Honor, you tell me. You look at her and you tell me.
This is a photo of a man?
Yes, that's the man that's the man. Yeah, tell me about it, Your Honor. Yeah, tell me.
You believe this is her biological father?
That is her father. You know why I say that? Because that's for the simple fact, because I caught him and her mom having sex.
Oh, filled with some juice, isn't it? Now that explains the years-long doubt, but hold on, let's just go into the details. As to what actually went down, here is Mr. Lewis explaining the colorful days of Ms. Smith's big mama. You are in for a feast.
Pulled up in the yard, family house. The door was cracked, it was open. I walk in. The bed is sitting right there, right in front of the door. Small apartment. Smacking. They getting it. Next thing I know, he hear the door open. He turn around and look and see me. She raised her head up. All I did was look and shook my head and walked out.
Wait, so Mr. Lewis, you're saying you walked in and she was in bed with your uncle?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, what is happening here? Ms. Smith's mother had slept with Mr. Lewis' uncle. Damn! What a family reunion. But what his ex-wife is going to say next, we definitely raise an eyebrow on whether there is something hidden between the lines or not. Just listen to what she has to say.
Did he tell you when he brought you the baby, this is my daughter or this might be my daughter?
He said it was his daughter.
All right.
Ooh.
You never looked at her and said, well, no, she doesn't look like you to me. She's not yours. You didn't doubt it?
No, I did not. I doubted several times, but I didn't really doubt it because she looked like him.
Mr. Lewis' other daughter was also with Ms. Smith, claimed her to be her sister, calling her dad paternity denier, as she herself got tested and the results came out positive. Feels like our man here does have some trust issues. Just have a glimpse?
And I hope Brittany understands that no matter what,
she's
gonna always be my sister, no matter what, Brittany, I promise. No matter
She'll
what.
always,
I
no
love
matter
you.
what. And I accept her that way.
Yeah, she been around since she was 2-3 years up. I mean, 2-3 days, I'm pretty sure.
Brittany, how does it feel in this moment to stand between two beautiful women, say, regardless, you're still going to be their family?
Poor Ms. Smith had been living with the doubt for so long. Can you just imagine the anticipation in her heart, the fear of being left alone, and the pain she might have felt every day? Well, now was the time for her to breathe in the clear air and set the record straight. So here are the paternity results.
Mr. Lewis, you are not the father.
Oh, bam. God. Ta-da. That's our father right there. That's him right there.
Oh, my God. You truly thought this was your biological father?
And you know what, Your Honor, and it's so bad because Brittany, she used to call and disrespect me, and now she can't get mad at me no more.
Hold on, let me get this straight. Ms. Glover is here in paternity court with her 2 sons, and she's claiming that they didn't father the children of 2 women who are standing across the aisle. Well, I guess that's one way to spice up a family reunion. Let's see how this plays out.
Ms. Glover, please explain to the court, why do you believe your son Donnell is not the biological father of 10-month-old Ariana?
Because she's a baby.
A maybe baby?
Yes, Your Honor.
What do you mean by that?
Because I didn't know nothing about her until she was in the hospital giving birth to the baby. That was my first time meeting her, hearing anything about her. Knew nothing of her.
So our alleged grandmama here was all about wanting to be in the picture. Oh, she wanted to enjoy the pregnancy process. LOL. Well, that might take away from her initial testimony. Never mind. The bottom line, she knew nothing about the girl in her son's life or the baby. Let's see how our defendant justify this.
Oh no, I never knew her, but I knew her son for 8 years. So for him, but for him
my son for 8 years, Your Honor, excuse me. You knew my son for 8 years. If you was really a factor in his life, I would have knew you too for 8 years.
But if you knew the factors in your son's life, you should know
bottom
who's
line
in
to
and
the
out
story.
his life.
We are very close.
But he can father a child with a non-factor.
That's understandable too. But the non-factors get talked about.
Feels like the son might be hiding something. What can there be another affair? Or was he just using Ms. Staten as his 7-Eleven? Well, that we will find out in a little while. But it's shocking to find out they have been together for 8 years. And our Mr. Donald had also signed the birth certificate. I sense a contradiction.
Well, if he was so doubtful, why did he sign his name on a birth certificate?
Because that's how he was raised, to be a man. He was raised to be a man. A man is only going to stand his ground and do what he's supposed to do. When you raise them right, that's what he's supposed to be done.
Well,
if he felt that was his baby, he was supposed to stand there and sign the birth certificate.
I swear, man, there is too much involvement by the parents in this case. And you know why Miss Staten doesn't recall denying Mr. Donald's paternity out of anger, but according to Ms. Glover's son, did tell her father about the possibility of another man being the father. Now that's what you call daddy's little princess.
So how are you certain if you openly admit you slept with more than one man, whether it's both in the window of...
I only slept with him and only him in November. I haven't touched nobody or seen anybody in the month of November. So when I found out I was pregnant, I was 3 months pregnant, going on 4 months pregnant. So where he and his mom's talking about maybe baby, how about they do the calculation and we all do the math?
I can't do the calculation.
Hold up.
Oh boy, get ready for this part. As according to our plaintiff, he had a hearing ability better than a Pokemon. Just kidding. He told the court about the restaurant incident, where he overheard the employees talking about Ms. Staten. What in a world is that coincidences? Above all, he also notices her avoiding them. After that, Mr. Donald made a timeline in his head.
I slept with Miss Staten on the 10th.
Okay.
Now.
Of November.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
She said she conceived on the 30th. Now, I know math. I know she know math.
That's 20 days apart. Now, I had the Jimmy on that night, Your Honor. Now, I want to know, how do sperms stay floating around unless I'm a bad man for 20 days?
Let's just cut the chase. Folks, Mr. Donald claimed he has been involved in caring for the child since day one. If that's the case, it surely meant he just had doubts, until one day he goes to meet the baby mama and finds another man sitting on the couch, calling himself the stepdad?
What I'm saying is that her and the other dude, like, they tried to keep us so far apart when I was there. I already felt like it was something going on, like somebody in the family was telling a big old lie.
You feel like the whole family was keeping from you the fact that she's been involved with other men and they're not telling you the whole story.
Ah, man, this case just keeps on getting complicated as no one was willing to cut either one some slack. Judge Lake, with enough testimony being recorded, comes to save the day. Let's see if the baby mama did have only a friend over or someone. We might have to label something else.
Mr. Glover, you are not her father. I know this was a disappointment. Unfortunately, your instincts were correct. And that day you walked into the house, I think your gut feeling obviously was correct.
Sudden baby's arrival left Mr. Lamb in utter disbelief. Why? Because his wife's sexual desires were on leash, which led her to step out of the marriage. And we all know when such actions hit. There is no solution but a DNA test.
Ms. Mullins, you say your ex-husband, Mr. Lamb, is an oversexed man-child whose debauched sexual fantasies have landed you in paternity conundrum. You say that after doing everything you could to save your marriage, turned that dedication against you by denying your 3-year-old son, Preston, to prove paternity today.
While the mystery was lurking on, the plaintiff came forward and said that despite her bad marriage life, she was faithful to her better half. And the sexual encounter the hubby was hung on was proposed by him. Then why so fuss?
She's told me out of her own mouth that I'm not the father. And
really?
I've heard from other people that they say that he don't look like
That is a lie.
But how did she tell you that you're not the father? She's testifying today that you are the father.
Roger,
when did she tell you you weren't?
Right after he was born, Your Honor, she told me.
Take me to that day. What happened?
Keep on line.
What's the point of creating doubt in your husband's mind right after the baby's birth? And he mentioned Jonathan's name. So what's the story behind that man in their marriage? Next, the judge asked them about the haunting incident, and the plaintiff explained Mr. Lamb's weird fantasies with Dear Jonathan.
So he took my phone after he had told me about, the fantasy he had, and I didn't feel comfortable with it, but I finally agreed, and he took my phone and texted Jonathan and was acting like me and said something about us having a threesome. And Jonathan was like, I'm down. So
I'm down.
Yeah.
You down, Jerome?
No.
And we went in the bedroom, and it all started from there.
So this was a good lesson of fantasy and turned it into a nightmare. I mean, who would be messed up enough to even think of such things? And now, instead of admitting his mistake, the defendant denied it and put all the blame on her.
When the door came in on us.
Wrong.
And he asked us if we want to have a threesome, and she agreed to it.
Wrong. Living with us, his mattress was in our bedroom floor. Me and him were actually having
Why did his mattress have to be in your bedroom floor?
We had a 2-bedroom apartment. The kids was in a room, and then we put his mattress in our floor.
What about the living room?
What kind of circus they had going in their house? Who in their right state of mind entertains guests like that? So the judge asked him more about her flirtatious relationship with Jonathan, and he shared their sweet moment on his bed.
The night I came home, they were sitting on my bed. They was like, she was leaned up on him. They was real close, and that's when I started started figuring stuff out. And that wasn't the first time.
Did you say something?
I did. I asked her what was going on. She said they was just friends. It ain't like that. And I grew up with him, so I've been close to him like family also. But that was not the only time she did it, Your Honor. She agreed after she couldn't finish.
I believe he is lying at this point. His friend and wife were never comfortable. Then how can she say this? Their accusations are swinging freely in the middle with no hook to rely on. Next, plaintiff said that all 3 of them were confused about pregnancy. Then, Mr. Lamb shared the reason for his denial.
Not off the top, but I do know she has over and over told me that he is the father and that he looks like him.
That he looks like the other guy?
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
She's told you this?
Yes, countless times.
I mean, I told him there were similarities. If we get to thinking about it, yes, but there's a lot of similarities between him and Jonathan as well.
Not all desires have to be taken seriously, and look how it made you fall into trouble that now you are standing in the court to figure out the real daddy of the baby. But regardless of their mistakes, the results were read to end this confusion.
Mr. Lamb,
Sure.
you are the father.
You are the father. That's your beautiful little boy.
Living her own life without parents was hard enough for this 35-year-old Mount Olive woman. However, the sudden appearance of some random guy claiming to be her father has turned her life upside down. Done with all the false claims, Ms. Agee, AY+G, was ready to prove him wrong today.
Mr. Fritz, you state that over the last 30 years, you have searched to find your biological daughter, who you claim was taken from you as a child. However, just 4 months ago, this 3-decade search came to an end when you found Ms. Agee, whom you believe to be your daughter, on Facebook. You're now petitioning the court to prove that you are indeed her biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, that is correct.
Defendant already had a biological father, a man named Mr. Buster, who had abandoned her while she was just a child and never looked back. Though she kept contacting him, he remained cold toward Ms. Agee. That's why the woman was not ready to ride the same roller coaster again.
You say you're my dad, but if you're my dad, then you would have come looking for me. You say you come looking for me, but obviously you didn't come looking for me because I live in Thomasville, a little town that you can find me. You found me when I was already married under my married name. You didn't find me under my maiden name. My maiden name, you couldn't find me. I live in a small town. I can go in the middle of the town and scream out Danny Fritz, and they're gonna hear me.
And if you're wondering why the plaintiff never reached out to his long-lost daughter, it was revealed that he was incarcerated for a long time and was away from his town, but still visited Ms. Agee when she was 2 years old one day. Her family ghosted him without a reason, and he began his desperate search for his daughter.
I went down there to find her. When I got there, the trailer was empty where she lived at, okay? So I went to the neighbor's house. They said, yeah, they moved, but they didn't know where. I went to all the neighbors' houses. No one knew where they had moved to.
If you want to find your daughter, you will not stop. I don't care what anybody says. If my kids are out there and I want to find my kids, I'm going to find them, regardless.
I didn't stop.
Regardless.
Ooh, why would you do that to him? Shutting him off her life was wrong. Then Mr. Fritz said that he found Ms. Agee through Facebook and texted her to build their bond again. But to the defendant's response, it was a complete shock, and she didn't like it at all.
You contacted me on Facebook. We were talking.
Right.
I thought you was an old school friend because I didn't even know you were my dad.
Right.
I didn't recognize the name. And then I was shocked. I didn't know what to think because here you are. I'm 35 years old, and you're telling me you're my dad? I'm not. What am I supposed to think?
Well, I'm here today to show you that I am your dad.
And I don't know how you got my
phone number. From this point on, I'm going to do anything at all that you want me to do to help you in your life.
She doesn't count his efforts as worthy. I know it must be hard to bond with this man, but still, she is numb to all his excuses. Regarding the daddy-daughter relationship, Mr. Fritz said that it started pretty well, but the defendant still had coldness towards him, which let him down. Upon this, the defendant attacked him again.
You do not believe he's your biological father?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why are you so angry at him?
I'm angry because he says he is my dad. If he is my dad, why wasn't you there? I needed a dad when I was younger. I'm 35 years old now. I've lived my life. I'm living my kid, I'm with my kids now. I'm living my life for my kids. And then he wants to pop up 35. Then I have a gentleman telling me that he is my father. If he's my dad, why wasn't he there?
We know that she's hurt, and why not? For years you are missing from her life, and now want to be a good father? It's not easy, man. Next, after seeing her constant denial, the judge finally gave her a moment to express her real emotions behind the anger, and she revealed her fears.
That ain't
hurt
gonna
enough
happen,
in my
man.
life, and I don't want to be hurt anymore.
You ain't gonna be by yourself no more. I'm gonna tell you that. And I love you, and you know that, Angel. Since the first day I got back with you and found you, I told you I would never hurt you, and I love you. And I'll tell you what, the love I got in my heart is never gonna go away, and you're never gonna be alone. I'm here to help you. I'm here to be your daddy.
But you're putting out there that I asked you for money. I didn't ask you for no money. I told you what was going on.
The hurt and resentment in the plaintiff's eyes were so much that she kept repeating denial and anger towards him. But now, with this situation in the court, it was clear that they wanted the results so badly to end the confusion and have peace with their lives.
I am her
Mr.
daddy.
Fritz, you are her father.
Yes! That's what I'm talking about.
This is just so beautiful.
Mr. Figures played his A game with Ms. Jackson's heart, and now it's payback time. Ghosted her with a baby, and now the plaintiff hit him back in his face to prove to him that he fathered her son. The terms of the past have to get resolved today, and to win this game against him, she demanded a DNA test.
Ms. Jackson, you say Mr. Figures was a smooth-talking Casanova who swept you off your feet and out of your clothes and then left you with a baby.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim Mr. Figures disappeared 20 years ago, and now you want to prove that he is definitely your son, Daniil's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Job Corps was an adventure ride for them, and Ms. Jackson recalled the innocent attraction she had for Mr. Figures and their cheesy relationship in their youth. Wild thoughts of love and a hook of intimacy were an overwhelming desire that took them to the peak of madness.
Things that was called a green grass, right? We could go out and pick a spot and get to know each other, per se. So that's what we did one night. And at that time, when you're younger, sometimes people change their names and have these, call yourself little nicknames or whatever, right? So at that time,
Majestic.
That was me. You see, she remembers. So I had another friend also. His name was
Mustafa.
She got a good memory.
A very amusing story. It must have been a lot of fun to do this back then, and I'm glad he knew about the other possibility right from the start. Next plaintiff said that pregnancy was a complete shock for her, and Mr. Figures taunted that it was the Mufasa guy, but she explained herself on this matter.
Someone, meaning he had my back. Don't meaning we having sex.
Come on, man.
It didn't come to, but the person that he's talking about, he even went to him and told him, she's carrying my baby.
See what I'm saying?
Mr. Figures, so you admitted that.
Who? I went to the guy and told him that?
That's what she testified.
No.
There was doubt all along, but he never addressed it. And now he says he is not a runner? It doesn't add up. Mr. Majestic, that's cowardly. The next judge asked Mr. Jackson about his fatherless life experience, and the poor boy showed great courage in answering her.
Your Honor, it's totally different from sexing this man.
Come on, you was having sex with him and having sex with me.
Your Honor.
Right or wrong?
Wrong. Put it like this. If this man, because I can get in contact with him at any time, if he knew that this was his child, why would I be doing this after 20 years? You know what I'm saying?
Because maybe
if you
don't
look at my son and look at this man, there's no way.
He is crushed with pain, and yes, he needs to have a father in his life, even if it's too late. The young man's tears and pain still did not affect Mr. Figures, and Mr. Jackson further shared that a father is meaningless to him now.
My closest friend, his dad died, but he seen his dad. My other friends, they all know their daddy. They all having these things with their father.
But to be honest,
just go home. Like, I ain't got time to deal with this. I'll find.
Stop talking. You have a right to have that relationship.
I don't want that right.
In due time.
I know.
In due time.
My mind's already set. I'm done.
I know.
Your Honor, can I give you this?
This moment must have been hard for the poor boy, and his hate is valid for him. Everyone would have the same feeling about a ghosted father. But listening to this, his mother broke down and expressed her frustration over Mr. Figures and wanted things to improve for their son's future.
Got her, I'm straight.
But I want him to know his father. This hurts where it's always for 20 years been us. Like, I have dreams of him coming to my house, or we, you know what I'm saying? Like, we meeting up, or them having a connection the way I never had my father. I never had my father. This hurt.
The mother-son had led a hard life, but today's paternity question was very important for Mr. Jackson and his future, so he could have a full family by his side. And the only way to find Mr. Figures' paternity is by reading the DNA results.
Mr. Figures, you are not the father.
Oh my God.
20 years, huh? For this. I hope you find that, because everybody should know who their people are. My dad wasn't there for me either.
It's fine.
I have to ask you, respectfully, do you know?
The hunt for the real father is still on, as Ms. Lons returned to court to find her daughter's biological father. Previously failed and devastated in their last attempt, now, with a new hope, they have come back to get their answer, whether Mr. Randolph was the real blood of Ms. Knoll or not. Let's see what the case brings this time.
Ms. Lons, you claim that while filming your popular reality TV show, Was Your Daughter Elite's father was not. After the results came in, you revealed to Elite that her uncle, the defendant, Mr. Randolph, may be her biological father, that it was devastating to find out that the man you believed was your dad was not, and you now believe that his brother is your father.
Yes, Your Honor.
In her own words, Ms. Lone stated that her past reality TV life has damaged her a lot, and now she was clean and sober from all the mistakes of her youth and was desperate to find the truth today for her daughter. Then Ms. Knoll spoke about her experience as a fatherless child.
I mean, I felt as if I should have never had to even take that step, and I had closed up. I closed up with my mom. I also closed up with Vic, which is the guy that originally we, tested. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a bitter thing for me. I used to hide the story, you know what I mean? I didn't want anybody to, like I said, I didn't want to judge my mom, but I didn't want to be judged for it neither.
Mr. Randolph shared that a confession of paternity by Ms. Lons on the reality show brought trouble him when multiple people told him that he was was the father of Ms. Knoll. The suspicion was unsettling, and he only faced court to find answers. Then, Ms. Knoll shared a little about her childhood life.
I actually was raised by an amazing family. I was adopted at 3 months, but there's still a part of me that, you know what I mean, wanted to know. I didn't find out that I was adopted until I was 11 years old. From the time I was adopted up until 11, you couldn't tell me that wasn't my family. So I was extremely embarrassed, and you know, after that I lashed out.
A lot is going on in this case. 2 different fathers who are brothers. It's very complicated. Then Ms. Knoll shared that her adopted mother took her to the man David Knoll who was on her birth certificate, and he coldly pushed her away. Then the judge asked the defendant about his relationship with Ms. Lons.
But the relationship is like this. I'm part of a dance group called the Black Resurgence, who are internationally known for boogaloo and robot and strutting. Her sister and one of the members of our group, her other sister, another member of the group, her and my brother and their friend and I were involved in a relationship. But we had that situation, the group of us, had that situation going on with various sets of girls around the neighborhood.
So the groupies were involved with each other so badly, then sure babies would pop out, and sadly no one would own them in the end. Crazy how people make mistakes and never think of the consequences. And look now how they are standing here doubting paternity. Then the judge brought one member of their band, Mr. Robertson, to testify in the case.
Guys that
all the girls wanted.
They called me Don Juan, so it was just a group thing, you know. I never fell in love with none of them. It's just.
So you're basically saying you were having many sexual relationships. You never were in a girlfriend-boyfriend committed relationship. It wasn't a relationship. You can't say for certain you did not sleep with Ms. Lons during the window of conception.
No,
you don't know.
I can't say that. I really can't say that.
His testimony has added more puzzles now. So everyone is freely sleeping around in the band, but none came up with responsibility, and now stood here confused about paternity. Next, Ms. Knoll said she never heard of Mr. Robertson before, then Mr. Randolph further explained his uncertainty.
If Elite was my child, why didn't somebody say something to me 30 years ago?
Well, how can I? Years ago, I didn't know.
Elite, God bless your heart, darling, I wish nothing but the best for you. You look so much like Nefertiti and my children till, yes, we really did think Vic was your father, especially because of Frankie and his relationship. But no way under God's green earth that I ever think that she was my child.
The actions of these groupie people might have brought them a lot of fame and satisfaction, but they surely damaged Ms. Knoll's life completely. Now, after all the testimonies, there was only one way to end this unanswered question of paternity, and only DNA could tell the truth.
Mr. Robertson, you are not her father. Mr. Randolph, you are not her father. I'm very sorry, Miss Noel.
Well, as long as you want to keep looking, we gonna look.
Thank you.
That, I'm happy for that. I'm happy for.
Ms. Scott is facing the worst nightmare of her life. How could she get more hurt to find that Mr. Lewis claimed his paternity on her, while she had already been nurtured by her dad, Mr. Scott, whose name she proudly carried all along? 35 years later, this revelation struck her hard, and now she just wanted truth and nothing else.
Mr. Lewis, you say for 35 years you've always known you were Miss Scott's biological father, but circumstances kept you away. You claim the DNA results will prove you are Crystal Scott's dad. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Plaintiff claimed that her mother had told him that Ms. Scott was his daughter, and also her resemblance with his other kids was clear, which made his belief more strong about paternity. But Ms. Scott had some different views on who her real father was.
Your Honor, my mom never told me that Mr. Lewis was my biological father. My dad here, he raised me. He taught me how to fish. We went on family vacations. That's one we were in Florida. Just last year we were there for a family reunion, well, class reunion. He taught me what to expect from a man.
So Mr. Lewis revealed that he had a secret affair with her mother for 8 years. And surprisingly, Mr. Scott was also unaware of this fact. Really? And nobody had any idea about it? The truth bomb hit hard on everyone. Then Mrs. Scott shared her little memories of the plaintiff in her life.
When I was a kid, 5 years old, 6 years old, when she would say, let's go to the store, that's when we would go and meet Mr. Lewis in the store. When we would meet him, of course it would just be me, her and I, and we would meet him. He would give me $5, $10, and they would walk a little bit down the aisle, you know, and hug, kiss. And
you saw your mother hug and kiss
I would
Mr.
just
Lewis.
be.
And so who did your mother tell you this man was?
She just told me he was a friend.
Why did mommy keep the truth from her? And now she was confused and broken over her real identity. Also, the love she had for her dad? now felt like a beautiful dream which was going to be over soon, and she was devastated by this situation.
And it hurts to think that he could not be my father.
Because you say he's your hero.
He is.
And that's been something you could rely on your whole life.
Mm-hmm. I can honestly say that he has shown me true love.
Unconditional.
Unconditional. I am torn. I'm torn between feeling that, you know, he's my dad because he's been there, and then I'm torn between all my questions as to why.
So why did he never try to resolve this mystery? Plaintiff revealed that after their breakup, he let things run the same way because he feared any harmful consequences of questioning paternity. But Ms. Scott expressed her resentment toward everyone for being selfish toward her.
No one chose me.
And that's what I know you feel when I look in your eyes. And
my mom didn't even choose me because she chose to not even come to support me. Everyone is thinking about themselves from when they were young. They were thinking about themselves. I don't want to get in a confrontation. If he had came in my path, I would have did this. Everything is I.
Her frustrations are very valid. No one thought of her in this paternity fight, and now all of a sudden Mr. Lewis was expressing his love and right on her. She was wrecked by this situation and was done with words, but still shared some hopes for the future.
I hope my dad is my dad, but if not, we have to proceed and take it from there, and it's hard. I feel like I've been placed in a hard spot. I've been placed in a position that I didn't even ask to be in. And I feel like everything that they've done, three of them collectively, my dad, Mr. Lewis, and my mom, it's been pushed up under the rug all these years.
Years spent with one man as her dad was a beautiful life for Mrs. Scott, but now she was on the brink of destruction, and she couldn't do anything to save it. With pain in her heart, she only had to face the truth, and the judge called for the results.
Pertaining to whether Mr. Lewis or Mr. Scott is the father of Ms. Crystal Scott, the biological father is Mr. Lewis.
Okay. Bro, Lewis, I don't hate you.
Mr. Smith doesn't think that he is the father to his ex-girlfriend's 3-year-old son. Why? Well, according to Mr. Smith, his ex, Ms. Jones, was anything but faithful, and there was no way that Ms. Jones's son was his. This one's a head-scratcher, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Smith, you are here contesting paternity of your ex-girlfriend's 3-year-old daughter, Janiyah. You claim Ms. Jones is sex crazed and had intercourse with multiple men during the time of conception. And you intend to prove you are not her child's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Wow. Well, Mr. Smith is off to a flying start. Apparently, Ms. Jones is a sex addict and a compulsive liar. Those are some serious allegations. But after Mr. Smith gave his opening testimony, we couldn't really disagree.
Yes, Your Honor. She is a sex addict and a compulsive liar. When I first met Janiyah, we had sex on the first night. I took her virginity. A few hours later, she had sex with another man.
Oh!
So I could tell you multiple reasons why I believe I am not the father of her child.
Miss Jones, these are some very strong allegations about your sexual practices.
If Mr. Smith's word is anything to go by, Ms. Jones has been a very busy girl. She got together with another man on the same day that Mr. Smith claims to have taken her virginity. Maybe she thought once just wasn't enough, and to be honest, who wouldn't have doubts about being the father?
Do you agree?
No. The only compulsive liar is him. Yes, I am a sex addict, but only with the person I am in a relationship with, what was him at the time.
What was your relationship like?
We were best friends at first, and then we started having sex.
Wait, hold on. We became best friends the day we had sex.
Sex on the first day? Well, that's one hell of a way to start a friendship. So Ms. Jones admits to the fact that she's a sex addict, but according to her, she's only like that with whoever she's in a relationship with. She also accused Mr. Jones of being a compulsive liar. So who can we really trust here?
Your Honor, we met at a party, went home with her, had sex with her. Then after that, we hooked up a couple more times. We was friends with benefits.
Oh, so you're saying the sex happened immediately?
Yes.
Oh, so you met at a party, had sex that night?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, that's not best friends, that's a booty call.
Judge Lake didn't mince her words on that one. The couple say they started out as best friends, but from the outside looking in, that was the textbook definition of a booty call. And as we've come to learn from our time in this courtroom, relationships built on that foundation are shaky at best.
So how did you even find out, or how do you know that Ms. Jones was with other men?
She had a boyfriend while we was best friends. And we know that because me and her talked about these things. And then I really know she was having sex with this individual.
Your Honor, because
we was having sex one night and she wanted me to do a freaky thing with her. that he was doing to her that I committed not to do.
Things are getting interesting. So according to Mr. Smith, when he and Ms. Jones started seeing each other, Ms. Jones already had a boyfriend. They would even talk about him when they were together. And since Ms. Jones is a self-proclaimed sex addict, she was into some freaky things that Mr. Jones just couldn't keep up with. Kudos to her boyfriend for fulfilling her nasty desires.
Did you have a boyfriend, Ms.
No.
Jones? So you didn't have a boyfriend when you met him?
No.
Were you having sex with anybody else?
Yes.
Oh, you were?
This around the same time of conception.
No, Your Honor.
It's around the same time.
I was having...
So boyfriend or no boyfriend, I mean, sex is what makes babies. So if you were having sex with somebody else during the window of time you were having sex with Mr. Smith, how do you rule the other guy out?
This was turning into a serious case of he said, she said. Ms. Jones denied having a boyfriend at the time she was sleeping with Mr. Smith, but admitted to seeing somebody else at around the same time. But according to her, she didn't have sex with the other man during her window of conception. This one could be a coin flip, guys.
One day I went to go see Janesha at a motel room where she was there with multiple friends. I came up there, she wanted to go with me, but I had other ventures to go on to.
Ventures?
Yeah. So I called her later that night. It was a lonely night. I called her. I was like, you know, do you want to lay up? She didn't answer the phone, though.
He was blowing me up, Your Honor.
A couple of days later, this all around time of conception. A couple of weeks later, she admitted.
And the body count continues. Mr. Smith revealed that Miss Jones was getting down and dirty with not one, not two, but 3 different guys at the time of conception. Miss Jones admitted to that being true, but denied that she was intimate with the 3rd guy during her conception window.
Motel guy, the thing about this motel guy is a collage came out.
A collage?
Yes, with me, the baby, and this guy from the motel.
And you submitted that to the court? This
Yes,
collage? How did you find this collage?
This collage was in a group chat with her and her friend, her best friend. So when it came to me, her best friend admitted to me like, oh, no, I didn't make that.
It's getting hot in here. This story had more layers than an onion, and as it unraveled, people's eyes were going to get teary. So Mr. Smith submitted a collage picture of himself, the baby, and the 3rd guy who they just settled on, calling Motel Guy. He thinks Ms. Jones posted that picture on social media to get a public poll on who her followers thought was the father.
The baby come. When the baby come, we at the hospital. Her family members come up there and her friends come up there. So while we up there, this motel guy have a baby a day later. So they across the room with his baby.
What?
So her family members make a comment like, let's go to this other room and see this baby, see do they babies look alike.
It's drama galore in the courtroom. As Ms. Jones was delivering her baby, Motel Guy was with another lady having another child in the delivery room, right across Ms. Jones. And as if that wasn't enough to get Mr. Smith mad, Ms. Jones' family members insisted on taking a peek at Motel Guy's baby to see if they looked alike. It was messy.
One day I go over to her family house. This is like Christmas time. I'm taking presents over. So we sitting in the dining room. A kid come in the room, because I say something to the child. I say something to Janesha baby. A little kid come in there like, she's not even yours. So,
what?
Me.
A little kid?
Yes. So a little kid not gonna just say this out of nowhere. She heard that from a grown-up.
Mr. Jones' stories are absolute bangers. A little kid from Mrs. Jones' family literally walked up to him and told him he wasn't the father. It doesn't get much crazier than that. But despite how entertaining things were getting, it was time to find out the truth. Was Mr. Smith really the father, or did Motel Guy have 2 different kids from different women at the same time?
Mr. Smith, you are the father. That is your beautiful little girl.
Thank you, Your Honor.
How does that feel to hear?
It felt good.
I kept telling you.
It felt good because I could start a relationship with her and my other kids.
I see the tears in your eyes because I know it mattered to you.
We get a lot of crazy cases on paternity court, but every now and again, we get insane cases that we just can't figure out. Ms. Gelnster just gave birth to a pair of adorable fraternal twins. But wait, she thinks the twins have different dads.
Glenster, you have opened your case today because you say your life has been in turmoil since the moment you learned you were pregnant with twins. You are convinced your husband fathered your 8-month-old son, Richard, but you
also believe your boyfriend, Mr. Stacy, fathered your son's twin sister, Raylan.
You already know that this one is about to get spicy. So Mr. Ramey, Ms. Gelnster's husband, doesn't believe that he's the father to either of the twins. And on the flip side, Mr. Stacy, Ms. Gelnster's boyfriend, believes he is the father to both twins. And yes, you heard that right. Ms. Gelnster has a husband and a boyfriend.
How did we get into this confusion with conception?
December 15th, John, Keisha, Scotty, and I was at the house, and Scotty and John were working on the bathroom to get it fixed up.
So your boyfriend and your husband were working on the bathroom?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And after they had gotten the floor put down, Scotty went into our room, was playing his games in our room.
Wow! So apparently, Ms. Gelnster cheated on her boyfriend with her husband. And on top of that, both her boyfriend and her husband's wife were in the house. We might need a flowchart for this one, folks.
Your husband?
I guess he had to use the bathroom or whatever, because he went up to the bathroom and he had heard me and John together, and he said, I can't do this, and he walked out. And when he walked out, we got finished. He left with Keisha.
So wait a minute, you got finished, you finished the act?
Yes, Your Honor.
Saying that this case is complicated would be an understatement. So Mr. Stacy, the boyfriend, walked in on Ms. Gelnster and her husband having sex in the bathroom. And like anyone would, he was furious and got out of the house. But after being busted by Mr. Stacy, Ms. Gelnster and Mr. Ramsey actually continued their little reunion and even managed to finish the act. Talk about dedication.
And then Ms. Gelnster, when do you reconnect with Mr. Stacy?
After John and Keisha had left the house that night, went and picked him up from walking up the road and brought him back to the house and told him I was sorry and asked him to stay.
And then how soon after that do you start having sex with Mr. Stacy again?
It was that night.
Oh, right after you have sex with your husband, have sex with your boyfriend?
Not right after. I mean, it was that evening.
You couldn't make this stuff up if you tried, guys. This had to be the busiest love triangle in the show's history. After Ms. Gelnster was done with her husband, he left with his wife, and Ms. Gelnster drove off in her car looking for her heartbroken boyfriend. And no, guys, this isn't the plot of your favorite soap opera. After she found Mr. Stacy wandering around, she brought him back home, apologized, and had sex with him. But that's not all. The next morning, Mr. Stacy left again to clear his mind. And guess who Ms. Gelnster invited over for part 2?
You know, to be all honest, I've been with these men together, okay? I mean, I'm not gonna be thrown under the bus with this.
I forgot about that yesterday.
I mean, I was with them together, and I just want answers for my children because they deserve to know, and John and Scotty deserve to know.
So I need to be clear. Did you state that you had a threesome with your husband and your boyfriend?
Yes, I did. And Scotty did it because he loved me, and I did it because I love John.
Holy smokes. This trio is serving up so much tea it's hard to keep up. Ms. Gelnster just admitted to having threesomes with her husband and her boyfriend. Even the judge doesn't know what to say to that. With all the testimonies we've heard so far, the twins' paternity is now totally up in the air. But we're not even done yet.
Do you believe your husband is the father of one twin and your boyfriend is the father of the other?
Yes.
Please explain why you believe your husband is Richard's father.
Richard has the same birthmark that my son Jonathan had. Richard looks like Jonathan when he was a baby, which Jonathan looks like John when he was a baby. So in turns, Richard looks like John when he was a baby.
Okay, so Mr. Ramey, I want to ask you.
Ms. Gelnster thinks that her husband, Mr. Ramey, is one twin son because he shares the same birthmark. But Mr. Ramsey doesn't see any resemblance between himself and the twin in question, Richard. And when a picture of Mr. Ramey holding both twins is shown in court, Mr. Satsy admits that it bothers him to see another man holding his children.
Literally see two different men as their fathers.
I do.
I feel your energy, and it's like you are so conflicted. If it was a perfect world and you could wave your magic wand and choose the life and the partner you wanted, who would you be with?
I'd be with John. I mean, you said in a perfect world, we wouldn't be here. In a perfect world, we wouldn't have been separated.
This case is all over the place. But at this point, one thing is clear as day. Ms. Gelnster loves her husband more than she loves her boyfriend. Now, that wouldn't be a problem in any other circumstance. But the thing is, her and her husband are separated, and she's now in a relationship with Mr. Stacy, her boyfriend. That must have been hard to hear if you were Mr. Stacy.
Your new girlfriend can survive if one or both of the twins are yours?
I really don't know, but that's not my main concern. It's about the babies.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
I mean, hopefully it does. I mean, because I love her very much. But at the same time, they're innocent, and if I am their dad, I've got to be there and handle that.
See, when he said, I love her very much, you closed your eyes and just
nodded your head like you didn't want to hear that.
So Ms. Gelnster really doesn't like her husband's new girlfriend, Keisha. But the real question is, does Ms. Gelnster hate Keisha, or the fact that Keisha is now her husband's main squeeze? Jealousy was in the air, and it was time for Keisha to give her testimony.
Do you believe your boyfriend is the father of one or both of these twins?
No, 100% no, I do not believe that these kids are his.
You weren't in there when that happened, Keisha. I mean, how are you gonna say no, it's not?
Because they do not resemble Sammy. They do not resemble my John at all. Neither one of them do.
He does resemble John because he looks just like John.
No, he doesn't.
Keisha didn't believe that either of the twins were Mr. Ramey's. According to her, they looked nothing like him. And after trading a few words with Ms. Gelnster, drama ensued when the judge asked Keisha if she thought Mr. Stacy was the father to the twins. With no hesitation, Keisha claimed that she didn't think the twins were his either. Jaws were dropping and eyebrows were raised. Everyone knew what she was implying. Shots fired.
Well, I declare, as my grandmother would say. Ma'am, thank you for your testimony. You may be seated. All right, well, that was an earful. The only way we are going to figure our way out of this is to get the results.
This had to be one of the trickiest cases Judge Lake had ever seen. There was absolutely no way you could guess the outcome of this saga. So it's a good thing we don't have to guess, right? The results are in. And who knows how this one is going to go?
Mr. Stacy. The next result is for Richard. The biological father is Mr. Stacy. I'm happy for the children that they know who their biological father is. But I am concerned because when I read those results, Miss Glenster,
Mr. Johnson was 100% sure that he wasn't the father to Ms. Kirby's son, Caden. Ms. Kirby was Mr. Johnson's ex, but her accusations were ruining his current relationship. But as you'll learn very quickly, this case had a lot more to it than everyone thought.
Mr. Johnson, you are here to prove you are not the biological father of Miss Kirby's 11-month-old son, Caden. You claim her accusations are causing trouble in your relationship, and you are certain the results will clear your name. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Kirby, you are positive your son was conceived during your sexual relationship with Mr. Johnson.
Ms. Kirby was mad, and rightfully so. Since his birth, her son was in and out of hospital with medical issues, and the man she believed to be the father was nowhere to be found. Who wouldn't throw a fit?
She's trying to pin a child on me that ain't mine. And she's causing problems in my current relationship.
How am I causing issues in your current relationship when you just called to me yesterday? So what are you talking about, sir?
I'm not trying to keep up with you. I just wanted to know, is this really happening?
So you think she's trying to pin a baby on you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you have doubts?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Kirby, I have to ask.
We're off to a quick start. After complaining about Ms. Kirby chasing and pinning him as the father to her son, the tables turned on Mr. Johnson almost instantly. Ms. Kirby came back with a one-hitter quitter. She claimed that Mr. Johnson had called her and flirted the day before the hearing.
Yes, I told her that she was gonna be my baby mama, but it was just talk. It was nothing like that. We only had sex. That was it. Nothing more. And plus, she's trying to pin this baby on me because she need help now. And then
I don't need your help. My baby's well taken care of. He's been taken care of for almost a year now.
Well, why you threatening me with child support?
Because I know you ain't gonna do nothing.
All right, let me ask you this. Mr. Johnson, did you grow up with a father in your life?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Johnson was convinced that the only reason why Ms. Kirby wanted the baby to be his was because she needed his help taking care of little Caden. Ms. Kirby denied that allegation and dropped another bombshell. Apparently, Mr. Johnson had explicitly told her that he wanted her to be his baby mama. And based on how things end up, his wish may have come true.
I was premature. I was in the hospital for 6 months. And while I was in the hospital...
Now, my baby have issues. He have health issues.
While I was in the hospital, Your Honor, my father abandoned me.
Now you abandoned Caden.
I would never do a child like that I know that's mine, and this baby is not mine.
And so you're saying you know what it feels like to be abandoned?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you would never do that to another child?
Yes, Your Honor.
Judge Lake wanted to know a little bit more about Mr. Johnson's thought process, so asking him if he grew up with a father was the first logical question. And based on his response, you wouldn't think that Mr. Johnson would ever abandon his own children. But wait, he doesn't think the child is his. Mr. Johnson also revealed that he had health issues as a baby, which really helped Ms. Kirby's case.
And that's what we did, Your Honor. We exchanged numbers, then the next day, boom, we having sex. It was just a sexual relationship. That's it.
So boom, you said.
Yeah.
And you just started having sex.
Yes, Your
Honor. How long did the sexual relationship last?
Well, it lasted for months. And during the time, she already told me, Your Honor, that she was having sex with another guy.
Things just took an interesting turn. According to Mr. Johnson, his and Ms. Kirby's relationship was purely sexual. No strings involved, as some might say. Ms. Kirby also told him that she was seeing other men at the same time. She even had one staying at her house. Wow, things were getting muddy. Really fast.
How you found out Ms. Kirby was pregnant?
Yes, Your Honor. I was at this party and I was scrolling on social media and I seen her post something about she don't need help with her child. So I hit her up. I was like, are you pregnant? She was like, yeah. So I'm like, is the baby mine? She was like, no. So I left the party and went to her house. And then she flipped the script and was saying, well, yes, you are the father.
Ms. Kirby might have shot herself in the foot months ago when she told Mr. Johnson that he wasn't Caden's father. She immediately flip-flopped when he confronted her in person and said that he was the father. So which one is it, Ms. Kirby?
Excuse me, Your Honor. Be mindful that we're talking about two different guys. She was having sex with another guy before this guy that she said that's her supposed to be baby father.
So you are actually 1 out of 3 potential fathers.
It was protected. It was protected, Your Honor.
Well, we've learned in here, no protection is 100%.
And the saint becomes the sinner. Mr. Johnson shocked the entire courtroom when he revealed that Ms. Johnson was sleeping with 2 additional men around the time of Caden's conception. She tried to nip it in the bud immediately by stating that she used protection.
When you say it's been hard, talk to the court about the struggles.
My baby has health issues. He has a G-tube, so we back and forth from different doctors, ENT, G-tube clinic, all that. And he's also albino.
So do you feel like that's one of the reasons Mr. Johnson is not believing?
Yes.
Because of his albinism?
Yes.
Now here is where everything got even more complex. Ms. Kirby testified in detail about Caden's health problems, and the main one was his albinism. Ms. Kirby also disclosed that nobody in her family suffered from albinism, and Mr. Johnson said his family didn't have it either. So with everything pretty much as murky as it was when it started, it was finally time to get some clarity.
Mr. Johnson, you are the father. Congratulations are in order again. That's your beautiful little boy.
I mean, Your Honor, like I said, I'm the father of this child and I'm gonna step up.
That is good to know because Caden deserves it and he's been waiting for it for 11 months.
One-night stands are a lot like avocados. They're super nice when they happen, but they can be absolutely horrible once time passes. Ms. Weir and her best friend learned that the hard way. And now, there's a sore relationship, a little boy with no father, and a hell of a story. This one is pretty insane.
Ms. Weir, you claim that after one night of passion with the defendant, you ended up pregnant, but he is now denying paternity of your 3-year-old son, Ayante. You opened your case to prove he is the father because you are tired of raising your son alone. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Wilson, you say the plaintiff is running out of potential fathers and is trying to pin her baby on you.
We've got a first, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, Ms. Weir's best friend, Mr. Wilson, is gay. So initially, their relationship was purely platonic. You'd think that this case was over and done after this realization, but you'd be terribly wrong.
You were really good friends.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so now take me to the night where things shifted. Obviously, if you're here in paternity court, your friendship turned.
Yeah.
So, Miss Ware, fill me in.
I had called him over. You know, I was bored. I was home alone, you know. I was like, you want to come over, you know, get him some drinks, you know, hold up and chill with Netflix or something. And
when you do your neck like that, that means you up to something.
Who would have thought this would heat up so quickly? So apparently, Ms. Weir masterminded the whole thing. She called Mr. Wilson over to chill one night, one thing led to another, and bam, here we are. She also confessed that she'd been sexually attracted to Mr. Wilson since the first time she saw him. Things are getting saucy, and everyone in the courtroom can't wait to hear Mr. Wilson's account of events.
Were you thinking she had any ulterior motive, or were you thinking this was just like another fun thing, another potluck?
Yes, Your Honor. I just thought we were just gonna be chilling, you know, like we always do, watch TV, drink, you know, just do what we normally do. She kind of seduced me, you know, we started drinking, I got intoxicated, one thing led to another.
She seduced you how?
Basically, after she got me drunk, she kind of started filling up on me and stuff, so.
That escalated very quickly. According to Mr. Wilson's very detailed testimony and Miss Weir's confession, she basically took advantage of him while he was intoxicated. Now that's pretty shameful, but the fact that she was so unapologetic about it made it even worse.
Miss Weir, Mr. Wilson said
says you were dating other guys. Were you dating other men at that time?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Were you sexually active with the other men?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Were you using protection with those men?
Some I was.
Some?
Wow.
How many other men?
A lot of them, Your Honor. She don't even know.
How many? Say it loud and proud. You said you're a confident woman.
3.
Ms. Weir has been a naughty, naughty girl. Getting down with her best friend wasn't all she did. According to Mr. Wilson, Ms. Weir was also sleeping with many other men around the time of conception. And when the judge asked her if that allegation was true, she said yes. She clarified that she had been seeing 3 men simultaneously at the time. She also swore that she had used protection, but sometimes she hadn't.
So the probability of paternity, 0%. So that's 3 men tested.
Yes, Your Honor.
And 3 men determined not to be Ayante's
yes, Your Honor.
biological father. And you say Mr. Wilson is the only other man, the only other possibility.
Yes, Your Honor. My baby.
Oh, he's adorable. You say he's the only other possibility.
Yes, Your Honor.
If they want to get back on top, the New England Patriots should be taking notes because Ms. Weir just pulled off the comeback of the century. She had the 3 men who she thought may have been her son's fathers tested, and each of the 3 tests came back negative. You can think whatever you want about her, but Ms. Weir does her homework. All of that put Mr. Weir in a tight spot, and everyone was eager to see how he would respond.
Do you feel like, Mr. Wilson, you know for certain that there were more men besides the 3?
Yes, Your Honor, because like I said, we've been
Your Honor,
friends
but
for a long
there
time.
was only 4. There was only
Your Honor,
4.
it was more than that, Your Honor. She's done told me multiple things over the years.
Mr. Wilson, please don't sit here and try to make it seem like something that it's not, because that's not true. Your Honor, that is not true. It's not true.
Okay, Your Honor.
And so even when she's pregnant the entire time.
Okay, so there were more men in the picture than Ms. Weir was willing to admit. Of course, that's only according to Mr. Wilson's testimony. And if we know anything about paternity court, you can't take anything that anyone says at face value. When the judge asked Mr. Wilson why Ms. Weir would try to pin a child on him, Mr. Wilson confidently said that he had been doing well for himself over the past few years. So the real question was, why wouldn't she?
Okay, he's 3 years old.
Look at him. Yeah, he's doing great. That's
Does he
my
wonder
baby.
where his daddy is?
No, he don't ask about no daddy. He asks about me.
So
I'm all he knows.
So he never even asks about a daddy?
No, he asks about me.
Well, that lets me know the stakes are, in fact, very high. When a child doesn't even ask for a daddy. All right, I believe I've heard enough. It's time for the results.
Heads were low, emotions were high, and tears were flowing. There was no way anyone was going to know how this case would end until the results came in. It was finally time for Judge Lake to reveal whether Mr. Wilson would be a father or whether Ms. Weir had got it all wrong.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes, Your Honor.
you are not the father.
Thank you, Your Honor. You know, I'm sorry, and I don't want to be the bad guy or nothing. I love her.
Ms. Weir, I have to ask you. We now know that there has to be at least another man out there. You've had 4 men tested. Do you have any idea who Ayante's biological father is?